Okay, so I should just look at you. Okay, it's weird because it's backwards, but that's okay.
Ok. Ciao ragazzi, benvenuti o bentornati su BassYourLife. Come potete vedere oggi sono in compagnia di un personaggio storico, strabiliante, eccezionale. Vi anticipo che appunto l'intervista, visto appunto il personaggio che ho qui a fianco e che adesso vi presenterò, verrà svolta tutta in inglese. Quindi abbiate pazienza per la mia pronuncia, ma è il modo migliore per svilupparla. Non mi dilungo oltre e vado direttamente a presentarvi Mr. Polo Jones.
Hello.
Ok, Polo.
Yes.
I need to read my question.
That's fine.
Be patient. Allora, honestly, I'm very excited about the interview because the first memory I have to electric bass is for the record Orange and Beer. And I clearly remember that the first time my attention is not focused on the voice of the guitar, and at the time I didn't really know what it was, but it shocked me.
Oh, wow.
Let's go step by step. Blues was your first album with Zucchero.
Yes.
Okay. For Zucchero it was the fourth album.
Yes.
Okay. In the previous album, Randy Jackson was the bass player.
Yes.
Okay. In the first album, there was Dino D'Autorio, so we say hello to Dino, our great friend.
Oh.
I know that in that period, Randy Jackson and Corrado Rustici were working together at Whitney Houston album.
Yes.
Okay. And the same year, Zucchero published Blues.
Right.
Okay. So I want to ask you how you met Zucchero and how this collaboration came about.
Okay, that's easy. I was playing in a fusion band, and I got this call from Corrado, and I didn't know who he was, you know. And he asked me if I wanted to come up and audition for a band that he was putting together, and I said, well, I'm interested. Just tell me what it is, you know. And he says, well, Randy Jackson's playing bass in the band now, but Randy's getting too busy, and we need somebody that's going to commit, you know. And so it's a pop band, yeah, but it wasn't. It was pop fusion, you know. So I went to audition, and I made it through the audition. And about a week later, he asked me if I wanted to go to Europe, because he's, you know, producing some guy.
Where do you make the audition?
I made the audition at, it was at, I don't remember the name of the studio. I think it was Wally Hyder's or something in San Francisco. It was where Narda used to record. And
because Corrado was there.
Yeah, Corrado was there, and they had a back room, and I went back and we just played a few songs together. Not even songs, it was just like, just play, you know, so that's what we did. And you know, he asked me a question because, you know, I was into Stanley Clarke at the time and those kind of people. And I was playing everything I could play, you know.
You don't listen Zucchero before?
Nope, I never heard of him. I'd never been to Italy before. And then so he asked me if I would go. And I said, sure, if you want me to go. So he says, we're going to go on this day, and we're going to see what it's like. So we went to Bologna, and we went to Phonoprint. And that's where blues happened, you know. And it had, you know, David Sanchez, me, and Corrado, and Giorgio Francis, which was the drummer.
A great band.
Yeah, it was a good band. It was a real good band. And well, I remember that this is an interesting story. When we were doing the Libidine, okay, and we were coming up with the sound for Libidine, and I had a little SH-101 synthesizer. And we went to eat, and I wasn't used to eating in Italy because there's a lot of wine, there's a lot of food, and it goes on, and there's a little party at every time that we went to eat. And then the name of the restaurant was Sally and Pepe. It was near Phonoprint. And I came back, and I was, you know, really kind of like half drunk. No, like jet lagged and drunk, you know. And so as I tracked that cigar, I tracked it on my back. I was laying down on the couch, and I had this synthesizer on my chest, and I was going and that's and I was just playing around with it. And they said, "Hey man, that's really cool. You know, let's do that." So that song was done on alcohol for me, you know, and all the rest of the songs were fun. It was, you know, Zucchero considers himself a blues guy, and I came from the blues, you know, so I was playing with John Lee Hooker and playing with all of those kind of people, and, you know, so it was fun.
Pippo,
Yeah.
Dune Mosse,
Right.
Dune Mosse, scusami. Non ti sopporto più, Senza, una donna, Amen, solo una sauna. All the tracks that contain great bass lines. They almost are all based on very funk grooves.
Yes.
What music do you listen to when you start to play the bass?
Jack Bruce. A lot of Led Zeppelin.
I think you are more soul and not rock.
Everybody thinks that. But, you know, the reason that the funky thing that happened, I started playing with Larry Graham.
You made me see, girl.
And I started hanging out with Sly and the Family Stone, and that kind of changed what I did, you know. So I had a combination of styles. You know, I had the funk thing, and I had the finger thing from Jack Bruce, you know. And over the years, it just became just a merge of those styles, you know, of kind of taking it to another level, you know. But the rock has always been in everything I do.
So you are a rock bass player?
Basically, yeah.
A rock inside?
Inside, yeah. Because the way I attack the bass in Il Mare, you can hear it very, very well.
Okay.
You know, because that line, they didn't know what to do, and they said, "Well, what would you play?" And I just went gong 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 gong, that kind of thing, you know. And they thought, "Oh wow, that's cool. We'll keep that." So that's how that happened, and that's something that I learned from Larry. That kind of approach.
Larry is the first teacher of the slap for
everybody.
For everybody.
Yeah, yeah, and Larry has a really different style than most people. A lot of people, that's three different styles of slapping that I see. There's some people come down on it and they slap here. Then there's the people that go through the string. Victor goes through the string. The double time. But I don't use it in that way. I use it as the bump is on the up. So the bump is so that's how I do it, you know. And then there's some people, man, there's just the bass playing has gone to a whole nother level. You know, I'm still a bass player. I just kind of hold everybody together, you know, which is what I learned to do from my father, because my father was a player too.
And what kind of?
My father was a saxophone player and a bass player. And my father always told me, he goes, you know, if you don't control the band and if you don't control the dynamics, then you're not doing your job. Because the bass player controls the dynamics in the band. They think it's the drummer, but it's the bass player. Because drummers, you know, you have to have the ability to tighten up your playing, so when the music comes down, that you don't lose this, right? Some people, the bass player comes down and gets kind of sloppy, or you lose the power. There's a thing that I was taught by Larry, that when you come down, you play shorter notes, right? And maybe you palm mute, but you still play hard. So you still have that force in there.
It's a great lesson.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, but that's what I do, and You know, bass players in any jam, the guitar players, they never change where it's going. It's always the bass player that takes it somewhere else, because the guitar players are soloing. You know, most of the time, that's all they do. You know what I mean? You know, and stay in the pocket. It's all about the pocket and the groove. You know, I mean, one of the best songs that I know of to teach that is "Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself" by Sly and the Family Stone, because the interaction between the two guitars and the bass is wonderful. A lot of people don't even realize, you know, when it came out that Larry was doing the popping. You know, they thought that was guitar. You know, and Freddie and Sly are doing a counterpart to that, you know, which is and then the bass goes which a lot of people don't know, and then there's a fall. It's two, you pull down on the E string and the octave of the E both at the same time, and it's just a brom. And Larry and my mom both worked at the same place. My mom was a pianist and his mom was a pianist. So he developed that whole thing.
So you grew up in a music...
I grew up in the same neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay. So we get to the 1989. Orange Chance and Beer is still considered Zucchero's most important album, an album that contains all its. So I would like to know some stories about the recording. How do you found the right song, the right tone? What happened in the studio? How do you choose your PVTL5 and your amazing sound? I want to know everything.
Okay. That record was recorded at Real World and at Peter Gabriel's studio, and we were the first people to record in there. You know, they were still wiring the console.
Yeah. Yes, the very first. The very, very, very first. And so we, as a team, because Corrado is such an incredible producer, in my opinion. You know, I mean, a lot of that stuff is him. You know, and he would give me a certain amount of freedom on certain things, and on Overdose. I'm the guy that was actually like saying things because I would recognize where the roots of his songs are, you know, and that song was Feeling All Right. So I was going like, okay, I can't play Feeling All Right, so I decided to flip it and do a hybrid. You know, of and I did that, and you know, so if the song flips, play the low C as the dominant part, okay, and then when the chorus comes in, then the high C is dominant, you know. So, and then the fills are just standard, you know, R&B stuff, you know. It's another style.
Yeah, you know.
Rock, funk, and R&B.
Yeah, and then I think the thing is what they were looking for is something to push, and the meters. I used to listen to the meters.
Yeah.
Okay, and there was this boka with this when you press in on the string and you get that little pop going, and I started utilizing that in a lot of his music because it fit, you know, and so at that studio we had a lot of versions of these songs because I mean Overdose was actually called Ebony Jesus. That's what Zucchero called it, you know. And Dave was going, Ebony Jesus, that's great, you know. And so I didn't even know it was called Overdose until it came out. But you know, Zoo has this wonderful way of feeling the music and pulling from what he likes in R&B, you know, because he loves soul music, he loves all of that stuff a lot, and I just felt that I kind of brought what he wanted, you know.
How long is during the recording of the album? How many time do you spend to record all the tracks? 6 months, 4 months,
No,
1 year?
No.
You play together, you play
together.
Oh, okay.
We play together. Probably 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, for the basic tracks, 10 days, yeah. That was it. You
Wow.
know, everything was always on a budget. You know, it was like, okay, you know, so I would come over and yeah, about 10 days. If there was 10 songs, I'd be 10 days. You know, sometimes we would do 2 a day, and then we would come back and revisit every morning after we finished what we thought was happening. Then we'd all come in and listen. And if it was truly happening, we'd move on. But if it wasn't happening, then we would do it again. You know, there was a lot of jamming in the studio. Yeah. A lot of it. Whenever there was a break between what we were doing, somebody would just start jamming. And there'd be a jam between Corrado, me, and George and David, which was fun.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
10 days, it's very few. Wow.
Well, that's my part. I don't know how long. Corrado usually gets a record done in about a month.
It's incredible to make this great bass line in a few hours, in a few moments. Yeah.
It's just all heart. That's the way I play. You know, I just play what comes out. You know what I mean? I don't really think about where I'm going or think about anything. It's just, you know, I learned to listen to what was around, and I tried to work within the framework of what everybody else was playing. You know, and it was really important to always keep it moving. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest contribution to anything I do. You know what I mean? I just, the pocket is everything. You know, I mean, you know, I could overplay just like everybody else does, but does that really make it happen? You know, somebody told me once, they said, if you do something musically and you have a singer involved and somebody says the bass line's really great, then you failed. Because, you know, you can be a part of the greatness of the song, but it's the singer.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So everything that I do, I try to stay out of a singer's way.
Okay.
Every time. You know what I mean? And you know, I'm not. Is that going to be a problem?
No.
It's real. Okay. Yeah. It's probably the band going like, there's supposed to be rehearsal. But that's kind of how that went, and it was really fun being at Peter Gabriel's studio because it just had a lot of. Have you ever been there?
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay. The studio is
really
half underwater.
Yeah. I see the photo. I know the real world studio, but I never been there.
Oh yeah, it was amazing.
I know.
And Peter has his own room upstairs where he has his piano. That was nice. I think that was a big part why that record, you know, felt like it did, because we were all in the same room, but we were isolated.
And I'm so very curious about your sound, about your tone, about your this fucking PVTL5 that I want to know how do you create this kind of sound, because it's very
it doesn't sound like any other TL5, and I'll tell you why. Is because when I first got into
when you recorded your tracks, use the preamp,
I used a Brunetti.
Okay. It's the second part of your sound. Okay.
Yes, the Brunetti. Well, the Brunetti is amazing. You know, Marco is incredible. You know, and he's just, the stuff he makes is great. So it was the Brunetti. You know, and then. But then again, I get the same sound out of other things because the sound is in the hands. Okay. Right. And the PV that I have, which it's called Blue. You know, it's got the panther on the front of it. I have it with me on this tour because I decided I would go back to that.
It's very cool to see on the stage again.
Yeah. It's there, and it has First of all, they're single coil pickups.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Only?
No, only single coils. So that adds a different top end. Okay, and I play as far back to the bridge as I can.
Okay.
Okay, which is its Jocko thing.
Okay.
And the preamplifier is the prototype for the TL5.
Okay.
And it was one of the ones that they actually didn't want to use. And so when I got the PV deal, they said they were going to make a Polo Jones model, and they sent me that one. But it's a prototype. It's a prototype.
Only one.
There's only one.
And it's yours.
Yeah. It's the only one. And it's really weird because it's not super quiet. You know what I mean? It makes noise. You know, but the thing about it is that sound comes out of it. You know, and I mean, Adriano, the drummer with Zucchero, the day I brought it back, he stopped playing. He said, "That's your sound." And I went, "Oh, okay, great." And the strings were very important. They were SR 2000s.
Okay.
Okay, they were taper core.
Okay.
Okay, so and I designed those with Dean Markley.
Okay.
And back in the day, and that's what you're hearing is the taper core string.
Okay. What measures?
It's a 115 on the top for a B. 115.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basic.
And then it was I don't know what the rest of them are, but it was an 040 on the top.
Okay.
So 040, 60, 80, whatever they are. I don't really look, but it was a very small B string.
Let's go to 2004 and I got a message for you. I think about the Royal Albert Hall concert with all of Zucchero's friends and super guests.
Yes.
How do you handle such a big emotion?
Oh, you mean the Reverendo?
Yeah, Solomon.
I got a message for you from our Heavenly Father. Unite for peace.
Adesso voglio vedervi ballare però, su, come on!
Let it in your souls, brothers and sisters. Let it come on out. Let it come on in. Everybody knows he's there.
Come on, Nato!
Everybody knows he's there. Everybody knows that Zucchero is there. Raise your hands, everybody. Come on! Sanctify! Sanctify! Sanctify your souls! Sanctify!
The Reverendo happened in...
Reverendo Luciano Pavarotti, Sting, Brian May, a lot of very big stuff.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. It was, I think the most fun...
I'm scary with all these superstars.
Yeah, it was great. Well, I'm used to kind of playing with a bunch of people like that, so I wasn't like getting like that. I was really... the guy that made me stop and listen was Cheb Mami. You know, because he was doing the Moroccan thing, you know, in El Volo. It was incredible. I stopped playing. It was like I was going, wow, that sounds good, you know. But the Reverendo happened in Canada. That was the first place that showed up, because he has that on blues. And it's another guy. It's I forget what his name is. A friend of James Thompson's, and they wanted me to do it. You know, so I just decided to mimic a Baptist preacher. You know, and then I would take it as far as I could take it. You know, and then it stuck, and now we do it all the time. You know, so that's how that started.
It was a great concert.
Yeah.
Very well.
It was very cool. You know, there were some really good moments on that show, and playing with Dolores O'Riordan was really fun for me. You know, because I have a lot of respect for her. Or I did. Bless her. Rest in peace.
Yeah, absolutely. You have written so many beautiful bass lines, and I imagine that they are like your own children's. But which one are you most proud of, simply enjoy when you play live? When came this bass line, I am really okay. This is my bass line.
I have some. I do have a preference. I do, and I think my bass playing really shines on Gato Pancheri's album.
Oh, what? Which album of Riccardo?
Zucchero. That was, in my opinion, my best playing. Yeah.
Zucchero, okay.
Yeah, because Patrick Divas was the producer.
Yeah.
And, he played with PFM.
Yeah.
So I had to step up. And I listened to that record, and I play it for anybody, and I go, that's the best I've ever done. Director?
Yeah, how is your job as musical director in Zucchero Studio?
Yeah, well, I'm the MD. The musical director part is I don't really direct the music.
Mm-hmm.
I direct the band. That's all I do. I make sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to do, and then by the time that he shows up, it's ready for him. Because Zucchero does a lot of his, ideas a lot. So I don't really write anything. I just make sure that all these really great, talented people sound good as a band.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sembra, non mi ricordo come si dice. It's look like simple, but it's not easy. I feel.
No, because there's you have a bunch of different personalities, and they're pretty much all really great. You know what I mean? I mean, this year, I don't know if I should say, but we have another keyboard player that is a monster, right? I mean, a monster keyboard player. And you got Brian May coming in. You've got Eric Clapton coming in. You've got Hote coming in. All these people. And I'm like the person that actually is the first contact.
Okay.
And then I kind of give them an idea what's expected, and then before the tours I talk to pretty much all the players and set up what we're going to do.
From the first album to today, 35 years have passed. How do you feel after so many years playing again with Zucchero?
Tired? No.
No, not tired.
Not tired. I feel like it's the same day, because it's an exercise in going backwards in time, especially now, because I'm starting to investigate my playing from back then, and I listen to it and I go, oh, because when you're playing this stuff at the time, you don't think about it, and then you look back and he says, I want you to play that exactly like you played it, and then you have to. It's hard to do. It's hard to transcribe yourself, because everything that you play, you can get the notes, but you get the timing, the exact timing. Because some of the things that I play that makes me different is the places where I start and end my phrases.
Okay.
They're in kind of weird places. I find, and I know that because when I listen to it and I go, why would you start there? You know what I mean? So, it's how it all works, and I was just free in the mind in those days, I mean, I'm still free in the mind, but I have a lot more ideas now.
Okay.
A lot more
you have more experience.
I have more experience, and I was, at that time, I was a hybrid of a rock guy playing kind of funky. And now I'm like a funk guy trying to play different. I don't know. Go ahead.
Okay.
So.
Okay, what are the key elements of such a long-standing partnership? Yeah.
With Zucchero?
Yeah.
I would have to say.
I think it's very difficult to work with the artist for such a long time. So, what is the secrets of this partnership?
I'm not there for the money.
Oh.
He knows I love his music. So, and that's a mutual thing, and I think he trusts me. He trusts because, I am, I'm one of the last members from the original band, and I give him 110% every time, and he knows that it's more than just a gig for me. Because there are a lot of people that go through bands in general. I have to be general about this. That go through bands and they're mercenaries. You know, they're great players, but they're mercenaries. You know, I'm not a mercenary to his music. I feel every note, every night. And he's an amazing artist. And I was talking to somebody that's new in the band. I have to be secretive. I don't know why, but I do. And she asked me, how does he sing all of these shows with Encounters his voice? I said, Zucchero's got a voice that will not, he can sing every night, and it would be the same.
Music before morning.
Yeah, music before morning. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. That's my philosophy. Sometimes it's bad because I go like, I don't have any money. How come we don't have any money? I don't know. So that's kind of it.
So, talk about your setup for this tour. What kind of bass do you use, effect, how do you create the sound, if you use the synth, keyboards or not?
Yeah, okay. I'm using two new. I have the PJ bass, and I have a 5-string they sent me.
Okay.
And they're outstanding. I love them. They're very sweet. They're very clear. The preamplifier is very transparent.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you can get.
I think this is like.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't look cool like that, but it's I'm still going through strings.
Okay.
To figure out what strings I like.
Okay.
They came with whatever they had on them, and then they sent me some more, and I put them on, and it wasn't the same. It's a different core wire. Core wires for me are everything, because if you get the right core wire, then the string is more pliable.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So you can get the same gauge, which is a light gauge is what I use, and they can be stiffer. You know what I mean? And the sound of my bass and my sound is all vibrato.
Okay.
And there's always
you made a lot of vibrato.
Every single note has vibrato on it. Every single one. You know what I mean? I don't do any, because there's always a wiggle on it. And that is when I was doing the Royal Albert Hall with Eric Clapton with Zucchero. Nathan East came up and said, I want to see your bass. And he goes, there's frets on it. I said, yeah, there's frets on it. And he goes, I thought it was fretless, And a lot of people have said that on those records, that some of the lines and stuff, they sound fretless, but they're not. It's just that,
So, you play near to the neck, made a lot of vibrato. I think you listen Jaco for a lot of time.
I didn't really get it from Jaco.
Ah,
no. I
because
I know.
Two elements that think about Jaco.
Yeah, he's a part of it, but he wasn't the original part of it. He just said it and I agreed with him. Because, I was doing that way before, mainly because of, why was I playing back there? I was playing back there. I was playing back there because on the jazz bass I still had the cover.
Okay.
So you had to push back in order to pluck the string because the covers were there.
The old jazz bass have the.
They have the cover, yeah. And so I started playing back there, and I realized that it's good because there's more tension on the string.
Okay.
So when you're playing, you can, it's faster.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can hear a lot of this, and that's the main sound of my instrument right there. Is all rear pickup, single coil, and playing back toward the bridge, and a lot of vibrato.
Okay, and I saw a photo. Do you have a very big cab?
I use 2 8/10s.
8/10s.
Yes, and one.
Do you like a lot of volume on the stage?
No, I just like dispersion.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not so much about the levels.
Dynamics.
Yeah. You know? See, when I had wedges, I used to set my rig up to where I had two things. I had the articulation of the wedge and the pressure from the speakers. So depending on what I was playing, I would move back and forth until it felt proper.
You don't do in here?
I do now.
Oh, okay.
You know, but back in the day I didn't. Okay. You know, and I love that sound because if you wanted to be articulate, you just step into the wedge. Because the wedge didn't have that much bottom end. Okay. You know what I mean? Okay. And then you'd find this sweet spot where you're in the middle of this wave, you know.
You create your own balance when you play. Okay.
But I'm not playing through both of the 810s. The synth is in one of the 810s and the bass is in the other.
Okay.
And then the upright bass is also split.
Okay.
So that's why I need 3 separate amplifiers.
Okay.
You know, and the upright bass goes through. It goes through a vibrato.
Okay.
And it goes through a convolution reverb.
Okay.
And then that's driven by a Seymour Duncan Studio DI.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a little compression.
Okay.
Yeah. If it says compressor, I just turn it on. Actually, when I'm really playing like something that I have to be impressive, I use a compressor C something. It's a Boss, the blue one, C3 or whatever it is. Yeah, and I turn it up really loud.
Okay.
Yeah, I compress it really heavy and I turn up the gain really loud. So the compression is actually leveling everything to where it's even.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And the sustain is like at maximum, you know? And the thing is when you do that and you start doing the circular thing, okay, the energy of every note is exactly the same. Okay. So you can get a real articulate, you know, I mean, you know, for me, and my other favorite bass is I have a Warwick Streamer. Okay. There's only one in the world. I swear to God, this one I have is like no other streamer. It's
why?
Because when they made it, do you remember when Spector first made basses?
Yeah.
The very first ones. The neck was very thin. Okay, it was flat and it was very thin. Okay. Warwick did a model exactly like that.
Yeah.
Okay, well this one was bought by somebody and it's painted gray metal flake, and it has an ebony neck, ebony fretboard. And it's absolutely wicked. I mean, I'm telling you, it's my most impressive bass. You know, there's a bass solo that I did somewhere. I can send it to you, you know, if you want. And it's just a thing that I did in the beginning of Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself. It's just a thing I did. But you can hear what it sounds like. And with the Mark Bass 1200 SDs, you know, I'm sorry they stopped making those. You know? Yeah. It's just a simple thing, an amp, you know, but I don't know. You know, I have a multi-amp. Yeah? You know, yeah, I do. You know, it's okay. You know, but, you know, it's just the SD 1200 was, you know. Yeah, so the Mark basses are going to be featured. Okay. You know, as soon as I can figure out which of the Mark bass strings are the ones that came on it.
But I think the Mark bass strings.
Yeah, they are. But they've got the balls. They're colored.
Ah, okay. So I don't know what kind of.
I mean, and that's a Diodario thing, right?
I don't know.
Yeah. See, and Riccardo didn't know. I have my tag, and he says he doesn't know. You know, because sometimes, you know, when you have stuff and you're experimenting, or it goes to somebody and they change the strings and they just give the bass back. You know what I mean? You never know what it is. When I picked it up, it was just really great. So then I took those strings off. You know, I use elixirs as a string of choice, you know. But, you know, whatever was on the Mark bass, if those are Mark bass strings, they sound great.
How often you change the strings? Every concert?
Yes.
Okay. So
between sound check and gig.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 times?
2 times.
Ah, Before the sound check and before the... Ah, okay, wow.
Yeah. I want them fresh.
Super fresh.
Super fresh. Especially on the PV.
Okay.
Because that sound is a brand new string all the time. You know, because that's the maximum amount of sustain that you're going to get on a bass. It's because the string hasn't had time to really stretch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's the wave is bigger. You know what I mean? So that top end thing is you know, and the sustain is longer. You know,
Okay.
and as they, you know, even, you know, because I'm really hard on them. You know, if I'm doing a slap thing.
And just another question on your setup of the bass.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use a high action or low action?
Ultra low.
Ultra low? Okay.
Ultra
Okay.
low.
Okay. I'm good.
And there's no relief on any of my necks.
Okay.
The neck is completely bone straight.
Okay.
Okay. And my fretboards, which the Mark bass does, they're flat.
Okay.
There's no radius really.
Okay.
And that's the only way you can do certain things, you know.
Okay.
So when I get on a regular jazz bass, it kind of slows me down because you're going across the arc.
Yeah.
You know, so flat basses, flat necks are where it's at.
Okay. We know all the secrets of Polo Jones sound.
There's a couple more that you don't know.
Oh, I want to know now.
There's a couple of things. There's a couple of other tricks. You know? There's phase things that you do.
Yeah?
You know,
okay.
Because I parallel the lines.
Okay.
And I throw one out of phase.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other one, secret? 2 secrets. This is the phase.
Oh, I did say 2 secrets, didn't I? I play super hard.
Okay.
I
So
mean, yes. It's really a trip because, you know, there's a lot of things you can't do because I'm digging in so hard.
Okay.
But I used to play hard. I have students that you know I used to have, and I tell them to play hard, and then they go to Berkeley and then they tell them to don't play hard at all. like, well, depends on what sound it is, you know, because, you know, it's when you play hard, there's a certain amount of fretting out that happens on the neck, you know, and it's a balance. It's a balance, you know. If you start changing the string height on your bass, and then you get it right where the string is sort of ringing off of the fret.
Okay.
It's not fretting, but it's bouncing off of that, and that gives you this zingy kind of sound.
Okay.
Right.
Before saying goodbye, I want to thank you for the passion you convey to me for the electric bass. Okay. It's a great honor for me today to talk with one of my myths, and I'm really happy to have met you finally. I listen you very, very much, and it's an honor to talk with you in my studio for BassYourLife.
You're welcome.
Quindi, have a great concert, great tour, and I hope to see you again.
Well, you're welcome to any of the shows, and we can hang out.
Okay.
You know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. You know.
So we know all the secret of Polo Jones, and we made and we made a great interview. Ok ragazzi, grazie, quindi vi saluto in italiano, ringrazio ancora Polo e perdonatemi per qualche errore sia nella pronuncia che nella comprensione, ma capite che non è proprio semplicissima come cosa da fare. Quindi vi ringrazio a tutti per l'attenzione, ricordatevi di iscrivervi al canale e di lasciare un like se vi è piaciuta l'intervista. Non mi resta che salutarvi, a presto e come dico sempre, BassYourLife. Ciao a tutti ragazzi!